Hey everybody, I'm Nicole Barrett, host of a fresh, fun new talk show that brings you legendary stars, icons, and history makers. The conversations are spirited and nothing is off limits. It's the Nicole Barrett Show.
Hi, today I am at Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. I'm sure you've heard of it. Thomas Duncan, a man who was traveling here from Liberia, has contracted Ebola, and here he is being treated. Now, Jesse Jackson has made a special trip here to Dallas at the request of the family, and today I sat down with him to get his thoughts on the treatment on Mr. Duncan, and of course I had to ask him a few questions as we took a walk down history lane. It's the Nicole Barrett Show. Today, Jesse Jackson. I am here today outside of Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. Many of you know Presbyterian Hospital has made world news this week because we have a patient here who has been diagnosed with Ebola. And here visiting Dallas is Reverend Jesse Jackson. Now, some of you may wonder, why is Nicole holding up her cell phone while she's talking on camera? It's because we're outside and I wanted to make sure we recorded all of the audio. Don't you love new technology, Reverend Jackson?
At Jesse Jackson on Twitter.
Yes.
And like me, Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr. and Instagram.
Well, I'm definitely following you on Twitter. I need you to follow me back, though.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Reverend Jackson, now, I've been told that the family, my understanding is the family of Mr. Duncan requested your presence here. Can you tell us why?
Well, they felt isolated and their voices could not be heard, and they felt that we could use our resources to help mobilize public awareness as to Eric's condition with Ebola. There's been an attempt to diminish him, to criminalize him, and see him as a criminal, not as a patient. Say, well, his problem is he slipped in the country. It's not true. When he was in Liberia, a woman was dying, a pregnant woman. He took her to get health care. She died. He didn't know it was Ebola. He came to the airport and asked me if he'd been in contact with someone with Ebola. He said no. That's what he thought to be true. He had no signs. He came here to get married, to be with his fiancée. And he came straight to her and his children. If he thought he had Ebola, he should not have lain with her. But he got sick. And he came to the hospital, vomiting and with signs of temperature rising. And from West Africa. That should have been enough for signs for the hospital. They treated him in some fashion and sent him back to the streets. They sent an Ebola patient back to the streets, which jeopardized more public people and his own life. And he came back sicker, and that time they kept him. They did not turn him away the last time. But for 3 days, he basically got oxygen and water and a bed to sleep in, to die in. We began to raise public hell about this matter. And they're now using experimental drugs showing some signs of response. His temperature is better at this point. His liver count is better. His blood count is better. So we hope that these signs lead to dealing with the issue of his infected kidney and infected lungs, which is where the big deal is right now. We were hoping to get ZMAP. They didn't get that. They said they didn't have enough of the best medicine. So these sent questions. Is this one set of rules? One set of rules for Georgia, where people recovered, one set for Nebraska, and one set for Dallas. Although one is an even playing field.
Now, okay, just to clarify, I think a lot of people are under the impression that he did know the people that he had helped in Liberia had Ebola. He did know it was a possibility that he might have it when he entered the country. You're saying that the family has told you that is not true.
And he said that's not true. You see, that to accuse him, he's not able to defend himself,
right,
is a terrible thing to drop on someone.
Right.
If he had known, why would he come straight home to his wife, apparently marry her, and stay in the same house, sleep in the same bed?
Yeah, and a young child.
Of course he did not. Of course he did not know. But then, once you drop it, I remember when Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri. That for 9 days they would not release the name of the police who shot him point blank range. And then they released a tape saying that Michael Brown had stole some cigars. And then they released the tape of the police officer. So as to say, perhaps he was such a bad guy, he deserved to be shot. In some sense, to say that this guy, Eric Duncan, is such a bad guy, such a lawbreaker, an international criminal, he deserves less treatment. It's the same old scheme, and it's unfair that would happen to anybody.
Now,
I remind the Christians who have been so distant from this. Many churches have not come out here to pray with their prayer interpretation, application about the scripture. In Jesus' day, the contagious disease was leprosy.
Yeah.
So you hear unclean, 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 and people running from those lepers. Jesus, in defiance of that fear, climbed over the fence and stayed in the house of Simon the shelter, Simon the leper, all night long. He embraced the leper, fought the leprosy. He's saying to us, embrace the victim and kill Ebola. Don't kill the victim and let Ebola continue to fly.
Now, let me ask you, there has been some criticism that many people have died from this disease in Africa, but it wasn't until two Westerners got it that there was a miraculous cure or treatment available. However, on the flip side, the defense to that is it takes, I believe, 18 months or it takes a long period to incubate the treatment. I want to ask you, do you think that there was some political play, or do you think it's just maybe a pure coincidence?
Well, we know it began...
Let me make sure this thing is recording. Okay, I'm getting you.
It was discovered, Ebola, around 1976 in the Congo. So it's been around for a long time. We also know that in Nigeria, they contained it rather quickly with the medical infrastructure. We know that there are 200 people in the hospital in Liberia recovering infrastructure. So it suggests that there are cures, though they're experimental cures. And so in America, with our advanced medical technology, if we in fact will embrace the victim and not panic and turn on each other, it's for the good, it's for all the right reasons. There are some who are anti-refugees coming across the border. Not refugees, children fleeing for their lives. Anti-comprehensive immigration reform. They're not their end, they will lock other people out. America's best is inclusive. Inclusion leads to growth, and as growth, everybody wins.
Yeah, okay. Now, Reverend Jackson, I cannot pass up an opportunity to ask you some questions. I may never get this chance again, so I have to take a little walk down history lane with you. A couple of things. First of all, what really sticks out in my lifetime, because I didn't know you April 4th, 1968, but we'll get to that. What really sticks out to me is on numerous occasions, you have been called on, or you've taken it upon yourself to go to countries and you brought back Americans. You talked to Saddam Hussein. You had, several hostages released in Cuba, various countries. First of all, why you? I think that's what a lot of people want to know. Why you?
I care. People care that you know, but they want to know that you care. And so I care deeply. I've traveled the world listening to other people's stories, not just our own version of a given story. As an African American, I've learned to negotiate with white people all my life just to survive. Some very mean people, but we've learned to negotiate relationships. That's why there's a New South, because we've been able to bring down barriers and build bridges. And so those lessons learned here, I've applied them across the world. And so whether we were in Syria meeting with Saddam Hussein, or in Cuba with Castro, in Milosevic, in Yugoslavia, president of the Gambia.
And in all of these countries, I just have to make note, in all of these countries with all of these leaders, Castro, Hussein, you brought them home. What's the key element to negotiating for someone's life when you're dealing with one of the most notorious dictators in the world? You can't really promise them anything because you weren't an elected official, but tell me, man, what's the secret? I'm trying to negotiate some deals right now.
I tried. The people whom we brought relations with, people that we'd stop trying to and stop talking with. When I went to meet with Assad to get Goodman, and I was asked what did I do that Reagan didn't do, I started talking with him. Matter of fact, we brought Goodman back, Lieutenant Robert Goodman back.
Yes.
From Syria. President Reagan said, what can I do for you? That's my expression of thanks. As you can call Assad and say thank you. Do that for me. He called them. They talked. They never stopped talking. So I know talk policies are bad diplomacy.
Yeah.
We must talk to people, understand their religious order, understand how they see us, not just how we see ourselves, the impact of poverty, and have better communications.
Yeah.
Those qualities really matter.
Yes.
You know, when we drop a bomb on another country and kill innocent villagers, we call it collateral damage. Mm-hmm. And we don't see on TV those images. We just see bomb drop smoke. Mm-hmm. So when they behead us, it's such a gruesome, ugly thing to see beheading. My God, what can you say about beheading? John the Baptist was beheaded. It makes our flesh crawl.
Yes.
When we drop bombs on the villages, it makes their flesh crawl.
Yes.
We got to stop the killing and choose another way.
Stop the
Foreign or domestic, we got to choose to end violence and go another way.
What do you say to your critics? Now, I have to say, and it's I think it's very rude, by the way, to call you race hustler or someone who plays the race card. How does that make you feel, and what is your, I guess, defense to those types of accusations? Because I think they're very strong and they're very...
I've grown indifferent to unjust, irrational criticism. Mm-hmm. I learn from criticism that's beneficial and helpful. The people will say all kinds of things about you. It doesn't make it so, and you should not have to react to what people say. You know, they say, 6 songs bring my bones, talk doesn't bother me. And that's really what it boils down to. Jesus, in this parable of the sower, you sow seeds. Some hit the rock, some hit the wind, some germinate in the soil. And so all of them will not hit. Just do your best, and God will do the rest.
Yes. But so you don't consider yourself those things. You don't consider yourself someone who plays the race card unnecessarily. I mean, if it's there, it's there.
Jesus, look what he was charged. He died as a felon on the cross, charged with treason. Was it true?
Right.
You see, look the names they call Dr. King. He was killed at 39.
Yes.
And so people, when their rationality is exhausted, they name call. It's their way of fighting, but these are cheap shots. And to me, it's like snowflakes on a hot stove.
Okay, I just have one more question, but it's like a two-part question. Okay, I interviewed Andrew Young recently, who I absolutely... that was a great talk, and just much like this one is. I'm completing my bucket list of people I've always wanted to meet. Okay, now I was talking to Andrew Young, and we were talking about the post Dr. King era. I've studied this. I wasn't alive, but I know that after the assassination of Dr. King, Andrew Young, Ralph Abernathy, a certain group of ministers, they stayed in the South. They built the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. You went to Chicago and you built, your organization there. And I've heard over the years, and some people have said that there was a breakdown, there was a distance then amongst our leaders, amongst the civil rights leaders. So I'm wondering if that really occurred, because some people, no offense, but some people have said that Ralph Abernathy expected to succeed Dr. King in the movement, but it seemed as if you became more visible for whatever reason. How did that all play out in your mind?
Chicago, Dr. King brought breadbasket to Chicago in his open housing drive of 1966. And I organized the ministers that used the economic dollar to fight for leverage, as we used the vote to fight for leverage. And it became a very successful, nationally renowned program, even more so after Dr. King was killed. It took off to another level. Matter of fact, in his very last speech, April 3rd, 1968, he referred to me in that speech about the success of that work, because it was helping him organize ministers on the ground who were fighting for jobs and businesses development and the like. We were all very pained and torn apart when Dr. King was killed.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine the trauma. I mean, I was walking across the parking lot talking to him. Dr. King said, "Jesse, we're going to dinner and you're late." I said, "Doc, you know you're late," and we laughed. He said, "Jesse, you don't even have a tie on." And I said, "Doc, a prerequisite for eating is appetite, not a tie." He said, "You're crazy," and we laughed. And then we went up and talked with a friend of mine about playing Precious Lord. He raised up and he was hit, pow. It was over. We were for a long time traumatized. And I'm not sure we've all recovered yet. We internalized a lot of pain. We decided we would not let one bullet kill a movement until we never stopped working. But I was in Chicago. Andy was in Washington as a congressman. Then Andy was in New York with the UN. So we were all spread across the country. I was in Chicago and in New York, Ralph in the South. Then all of us ended up working in the South because the unfinished business of the South is America's unfinished business.
Yes. But you're all still good. Everybody was still good.
And glad about it. Brother beloveds forever.
Now I have to. Okay, this is the second part of this question.
Right.
Since we're talking about leaders, I just have to know: is there any beef between you and Al Sharpton?
No. Al came up in the organization as a kind of junior leader. He's done exceptionally well. Reverend Sharpton, Moriel of the Urban League.
Yes.
Came up in our movement. And Al is 60 now. October 8th, I was 73. Barack Obama came up to our movement and is a shining product of unfinished business. So we have our relationships. What I call, we don't march in lockstep as soldiers. We have what I call operational unity.
Yes.
We have fundamental principles that we all abide by. And there's enough space for all of us to function, to grow and develop, and be creative.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, you've certainly done that. And Reverend Jackson, let me just thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Nicole Barrett. I am here in Los Angeles, California at the Silver Spurs Gala, and I am so excited to be standing next to a true gentleman. I don't know if he was an officer, but he's certainly a gentleman, Mr. Louis Gossett Jr. Hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing, honey?
I'm great. How are you?
I heard you're from Texas.
Yes, sir. I am from Texas.
Only two things come from Texas, you know.
One of the best lines from the movie, no doubt about it. Okay, Mr. Gossett, I can't stand here and talk to you without talking about your extremely stellar career. Let's talk about Roots.
Okay.
Okay, to me, Roots is a classic. It's a masterpiece. What was the feeling like on the set between the black actors, the white actors? Because you all made it seem so real.
We showed up on that set, all committed, all of us. And so I was playing Grandpa. And that was my grandpa. He taught me, and I played him. And the combination of him and his wife, that was Fiddler.
Oh, we loved Fiddler. And you know, the most beautiful scene in the movie, in my opinion, was when after they beat Kunta Kinte and you were holding him and you said,
"It's going to be another day."
That's right.
That wasn't in the script.
Really?
No, Alex Hadley used to talk about that. He didn't write that in the script, but I just had to say it. There's going to be another day.
Oh, that is beautiful. Now, moving forward, later on in your career, you won the Oscar for an officer and a gentleman. You brought so much to that role. What can you tell us about the chemistry between you and Richard Gere, who was still pretty young in his career, but he too was just wonderful. I mean, it was a wonderful cast. What was it like with your working relationship?
Well, I had to remove myself because every time I got into people's faces, they would giggle at me. So I showed up on the set with the Marines. And they stopped giggling because they thought I was down up there going out of my mind. The word came down to Hollywood that Lou Gossett is up in Washington State, gone out of his mind. He's gone bananas. But we're going to cooperate with him. But I had Marines behind me. I could tell them anything. So the stuff that you don't see on the camera is what got them to act that way on the camera.
Oh, well, sometimes that works.
Sometimes you had to. It was my shot, you know. I had to do that, you know. This was not Hollywood.
How do you feel about race relations now in Hollywood? When I say race relations, I mean as far as the quality and level of work that black actors and actresses are receiving.
Well, right now it's open season on us. I just want to keep the door open. And since once you get an opportunity like that, then it's your job to keep the door open. There's a lot of work to do and a lot of stories that nobody knows anything about, and it's up to us to tell them. And we have the opportunity and the venue to do that.
So you think it's a very good climate right now? It's a very good time for black actors?
Absolutely. It's only going to get better.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Louis Gossett Jr., Academy Award winner. I love his work. Okay. Oh, Mr. Gossett, one more thing. Could you
Get
look
down, give me 50.
I can give you 10.
All right.
If you would look in the camera and say, this is Louis Gossett Jr. and you're watching the Nicole Barrett Show.
All right, this is Louis Gossett Jr. and you're watching the Nicole Barrett Show. She still won't get down and give me 50.
I am here at the Silver Spurs Awards Gala, and I'm standing next to someone who I have loved since my childhood, Rich Little. I'm sure you all know Rich Little. Maybe not him, but you know some of the other people that he impersonates. Hello, Mr. Little. How are you?
I'm fine. Just don't call me Little Richard.
Never. Mr.
Sullivan did once.
He did? What did you do to him?
He introduced me on his show as Little Richard.
Well, I'm sure he corrected himself.
I got 2 more shots on the show because of that.
Well, do you still do impersonations?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do some tonight.
Well, I have to say, my all-time favorite, well, I have 2. My top 2 favorite Rich Little impersonations, Ronald Wilson Reagan.
Well, yes. I love to do Reagan, too. And Reagan was always saying, well, and he always looked down before he spoke. And when I first met him, I said, Mr. President, you always look down, and then you look up. Why do you look down like that? He said, Rich, you'd look down, too, if you owned a horse ranch.
Number 2, I don't think anyone was a better Johnny Carson, not even Johnny Carson.
Well, Johnny Carson and I have a lot in common. We've both been married 4 times.
Oh my gosh!
And they threw minute rice.
Mr. Little, well, I told him when I walked up to him, I said, it is my dream that you impersonate me someday. Okay, have you seen enough of me? Are you ready?
Wow, that would be a little tough.
I'll give you some time to practice. I am standing here with Rich Little at the Silver Spur Gala. Thank you, Mr. Little. And there's nothing little about him. I am here with one of my all-time favorite people. This lady has some serious Texas ties. 7 brides for 7 brothers. I think there is only 1 bride needed, and that's Miss Ruta Lee. Hi, Miss Ruta.
God bless you, bless you, bless you. I'm so glad to share a little time with you and your wonderful audience. And I'm so pleased that you're here for a wonderful big Western party. You know, Westerns were such an important part of our American moviedom. And then they sort of disappeared for a while. Now I hope they're coming back. But I sure would like them to come back with a little less violence. I'm scared to death to look at those movies anymore, you know. And kids grew up on seeing bang, bang, you're dead. It didn't matter. But, oh well, I'm not going to think about that tonight.
Do you have a favorite Western, Miss Ruta?
Of course I do. It's mine. It's 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. And then, of course, the most fun I ever had in my life was working with and being the leading lady to Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis, Peter Lawford, Joey Bishop, the Crosby Boys. It was very, very exciting and very wonderful. And we shot it up in Kanab, Utah. And the boys were playing Vegas at the same time, so we were coming back and forth and back and forth. It was hard work just staying awake to work.
Now, one of the things I love about you, Miss Ruta, you have some strong Texas ties, but you weren't born in Texas. So why is it that Dallas-Fort Worth loves Ruta Lee so much?
I think it's because the first show that I was talked into coming into play at Casa, of course, is the premier theater in the country when it comes to summer musicals. And I came in to do Molly Brown. And the composer claimed, and he put it in print, that I was the best of all his Molly Browns. Now, I'll tell you, Meredith Wilson says that in print. That you can take to the bank. You know, that's pretty nice.
And you and Debbie Reynolds are really good friends.
We are the best friends, but she got an Academy Award nomination for it. I got the Fort Worth nomination for it, but it was a fabulous experience. The day I got there was a breakfast to meet the press people, and all of the press people kind of sat with me, and we swapped fun stories, some of them bawdy, some of them terrific, and we fell in love with each other. And the next thing I knew, I was on the front page of every paper in Fort Worth, and I fell in love with Fort Worth. Fort Worth, thanks to the press, fell in love with me. Thanks to a good performance, they enjoyed it and took me to heart. And when I'm taken to heart, I take it seriously. So Fort Worth is now my home in many ways. I'm a resident of Texas now.
Well, stop in Dallas sometime. Let me take you to lunch. You know, we got a few things going on because Ruta Lee is a triple threat. She sings, she dances, and she acts. I mean, you really just do it all. You're just, and you're so cute. Okay, I was watching a clip from your Twilight Zone episode. Now, I don't think I've met very many actors who worked on the Twilight Zone. Did that ever creep you out? I mean, was Rod Serling was he like, whoa, did you ever get scared you were going to have nightmares after filming an episode?
Rod Serling was one of the dearest human beings God put on this earth. The only trouble was with Rod Serling, and I say this loud and clear, he smoked. He was an idiot that smoked. There was never a time when there wasn't a lit cigarette in his hand. And it killed him. Far too young. So I say to all of you who are still puffing away on those things and dragging them around with you, knock it off or you're going to see God before your time.
And that comes from my friend Ruta Lee. That's why I love her, y'all. Thank you so much. It's the Nicole Barrett Show. Thank you, Miss Ruta.
I'm so happy that you're here when I get my award tonight. Woo!
Yes, ma'am. Love her. Thanks for joining me. Over the next few weeks, we will be trying some new ideas and, as always, bringing you legendary stars. Please visit my website, www.NicoleBarrettOfficial.com. Find me on Facebook at The Nicole Barrett Show and on Twitter at Ms. Nicole Barrett. And I'll tell you what, why don't you send me a note on who you would like to see on The Nicole Barrett Show? Can I find your favorite legendary star? You'll just have to stay tuned because you never know who I'm going to meet next. See you next time.